Those tests are far too simple.
Of course not. You're not allowed in Zone 4.
Why?
And he... very disappointed in you.
Ow. So where are this?
Please make sure security is
Well, blow out the candles. Don't forget to make a wish. Get Scorby. You should go.
Veronica Quaife, the brave yet tormented companion of the deranged genius Seth Brundle, meets a terrifying, horror-stricken fate. In a chilling childbirth, her body convulses and succumbs, giving birth to something that defies sanity, a grotesque, pulsating larva, deceptively concealing a normal-looking baby within. Earlier, Veronica, consumed by panic and revulsion, had pleaded for an abortion, fearing her womb harbored an unspeakable monster. But, against all instinct, she carried the pregnancy to term, sealing her tragic destiny. The newborn Chris Martin is an aberration disguised as innocence. His DNA, corrupted by fly genes inherited from his father, condemns him to the terrifying Brundle syndrome. The first sign is chilling, supernatural physical and intellectual growth, so rapid it seems time itself warps around him. His childlike eyes gleam with disturbing intelligence, while his body transforms at a rate that defies nature. Imprisoned in a crystal cage deep within Bartok Industries, Martin grows under the cold, calculating gaze of a team of doctors whose faces hide a mix of fascination and fear. The company, which once funded his father's mad experiments, now observes him as a specimen. Anton Bartok, the sinister magnate leading the corporation, formally adopts him, but there's no love in his gesture, only an insatiable hunger to unravel the creature's secrets. Day after day, needles pierce Martin's skin, injecting drugs that vainly attempt to halt the course of disease that seems alive. As if the fly genes conspire from within, waiting for the moment to erupt. Barely a child, Martin, his soul still pure but trapped in a cursed body, finds a glimmer of tenderness in a dog, an innocent creature turned victim of Bartok Industries' cruel experiments. This animal, a guinea pig for the unscrupulous scientist, becomes the only refuge of affection for the little boy. But one day, the cage is empty. An icy premonition courses through Martin, pushing him deeper into forbidden bowels of the laboratory, a place where the air smells of metal and fear. There, in a corner lit by cold lights, he discovers a horror. Researchers, with impassive faces, attempting to teleport the poor animal using the two telepods, cursed relics of Seth Brundle's legacy. The hum of the machines fills the air, but something goes catastrophically wrong. An inhuman shriek resonates as the dog emerges, its body grotesquely twisted, an abomination of shredded flesh and bone that barely retains an echo of life. Martin, his child's eyes wide, witnesses for the first time his father's legacy, a door to chaos that tears reality itself apart. At only 5 years old, Martin is no longer a child. His body, betrayed by the fly genes running through his veins, transforms him into a 25-year-old man, an imposing figure marked by a terrifying fragility. Anton Bartok, his adoptive father and jailer, watches him with a mix of fascination and greed. In a gesture that seems more an experiment than an act of kindness, Bartok allows him to leave the crystal cell that has been his prison since birth. He is moved to an isolated apartment, away from curious eyes, but never free from the corporation's relentless surveillance. There, in the solitude of his new home, Martin immerses himself in his father's work, as if a dark force calls to him. With an intelligence that burns like a fever, he reprograms a teleportation system, defying the laws of nature. In a moment of unsettling triumph, he successfully transfers a telephone, an inanimate object that crosses the abyss without errors. Amidst his tormented existence, Martin finds a ray of light in Beth, a Bartok Industries employee whose warmth contrasts with the cold steel of the laboratories. A fragile but intense connection formed between them, a love that seems to defy the curse in his blood. However, darkness soon envelopes everything. Cracks in his world begin to open when Martin discovers a soul-shattering truth. The dog, his only friend in that prison of experiments, is still alive, but not truly alive. Confined to a cage, the animal suffers indescribable torment, kept alive only to serve as lab fodder. Horrified by such cruelty, Martin, with a broken heart, makes a devastating decision. He sacrifices his friend to free its tortured soul, an act that plunges him into a mix of relief and repulsion. As his world crumbles, Martin clings to the telepods, obsessed with perfecting his father's cursed legacy. With trembling hands, he successfully teleports a cat, a triumph that comes after the failure of one of Beth's plants, which emerged withered and twisted, like a premonition of his own destiny. But an even more terrifying discovery strikes him. The only possible cure for his Brundle syndrome will be to teleport alongside a healthy gene donor, a process that would save his humanity, but condemn the donor to inherit the fly genes. Unable to bear the thought of inflicting his curse on another, Martin abandons hope, his soul burdened with unbearable weight. The nightmare intensifies. The first symptoms of his transformation merge, as if the fly inside him is scratching at his skin from within. Worse still, he discovers that his life has been a lie. Bartok Industries has spied on him relentlessly, even in the privacy of his apartment. The medications he believed were slowing his illness were a placebo, a cruel deception to keep him as a living experiment. Seeking answers, Martin stumbles upon old recordings of his father, filmed by his mother Veronica, showing Seth Brundle's grotesque metamorphosis into the Brundle fly. At that moment, Anton Bartok appears, his face illuminated by a morbid ambition. With a chilling smile, he confesses his plan. He always wanted Martin's transformation to be complete, eager to see what monstrosity he would become and how it could revolutionize science. Distraught, Martin grabs Beth and flees, his heart pounding with a mix of fury and panic. Aimlessly, Martin remembers Stathis Baran's, his mother Veronica's ex-colleague, a man broken by the past. Upon arriving at his door, Stathis greets him coldly, his body scarred by the hatred he holds for Seth Brundle, who cost him a hand and a foot. Reluctantly, he lets him in, and though resentment burns his eyes, Martin's plea softens him. Stathis, his voice heavy with bitterness, confirms what Martin fears. The telepods are his only hope. He senses that Martin has deciphered the method to use them, but the young man refuses, horrified by the consequences. Stathis, cunningly, urges Beth to convince him. As night falls and the two take refuge in a dingy motel. There, under the flickering neon light, Martin's body begins to betray him. The symptoms accelerate, his skin tightens, his eyes glow with an inhuman glint. The fly is awakening and time is running out. In an act of pure desperation, Beth, heartbroken to see Martin succumb to his curse, cries out for help to the Bartok Industries doctors, the same ones who have manipulated their lives as if they were pieces of a macabre experiment. Martin, already on the brink of humanity, is dragged into an observation room, a sterile place reeking of antiseptic and betrayal. There, His treacherous body begins to transform before everyone's horrified eyes. He encases himself in a gigantic cocoon, an organic prison of viscous fibers that pulsates with a life of its own, as if the fly within him is weaving its own birth. Meanwhile, Anton Bartok and the scientists, blinded by their ambition, desperately try to unlock the telepod's computer, the last bastion of Seth Brundle's legacy. But Martin, with a cunning that defies his torment, has protected the system with an impenetrable password. A single failed attempt will unleash a program that will erase everything, reducing years of research to digital ashes. Time stops when the cocoon breaks. From within emerges Martin, but he is no longer human. He is a monstrous fly creature, a colossal aberration that dwarfs his father's transformation. His wings vibrate with deafening hum. His compound eyes glow in inhuman fury, and his enormous strength shatters everything in his path. Blinded by a rage that burns like acid, Martin unleashes bloody chaos, leaving a trail of victims to the corridors of Bartok Industries. The scientists, who once saw him as an experiment, now flee in terror from the embodiment of their arrogance. In a final act of defiance, Martin returns to the laboratory, his mind still clinging to a glimmer of humanity. He drags Bartok, the architect of his suffering, to the telepods. With a roar that mixes pain and triumph, he activates the genetic transfer sequence, throwing the magnate into one of the pods while he occupies the other. His claws tremble as he types the password. Dad, a silent cry to his lost father, an echo of love and tragedy. The machine roars to life, and in a blinding flash, the transfer is complete. Martin emerges, miraculously human, his body restored but his soul forever scarred. Bartok, however, is not so fortunate. Reduced to a deformed creature, a twisted mass of flesh and groans, he is now the one who suffers the fate he planned for Martin. Bartok's own researchers, without a shred of pity, imprison him as a new guinea pig. His ambition turned into his condemnation.